Deadman mode has been out for 2 weeks now. We have already seen players get best in slot gear, clans are holding down exclusive resource areas, and with this season having sigils, we have gotten some pretty special content. Now for myself, I am a solo player in my first ever Deadman mode tournament, having set out with the goal to qualify and participate in the 1v1 finals. And on the way to that goal, I've been keeping track of certain metrics, such as total number of deaths, time played, and high score ranking, as the top 2,000 players on the high scores will be the ones to fight in the finals. So my last video was only my day 1 progress. I had actually taken the day off of work for that day 1 experience and to lock in some early gains. My initial strategy when starting out was to rush combat levels, as there are combat level worlds in this Deadman mode, and when you unlock these worlds, you also unlock quests alongside them, and I figured this would save me some time questing. And on screen, I will be displaying where my account stood after day 1 and the metrics alongside that. Feeling good with my progress, I did let my focus shift and entertain the thought of even PKing a bit during the tournament. As death was originally much more punishing at the start of the tournament, if you were to lose your third and final life, your bank would be wiped, combat stats would be reset, as well you would then lose 10% experience in all non-combat stats. Now the consequences for when you do lose your third and final life have since changed, but losing your combat stats still remains one of the options. And I thought, in the event I were to lose my 3 lives rather quickly, I would reset and rebuild as a low-level peer, entertaining the possibility of fighting other players, but more so to not get bullied in the lower combat bracket. So in respect to these thoughts, I then got 75 Hunter and some additional experience, as I planned to use my reset immunity, hunting imps and Piro as I gathered gear and money. While hunting though, I thought it would be more beneficial to have an alt money making in the lower combat bracket world. That way that account could be there for gear and supplies, just fueling my account after the reset. And I did just that, quickly making an alt to woodcut and then fletch for money making, but I found it much easier and still profitable and a little more AFK to just woodcut. These thoughts and the gameplay around it took place in the first weekend of Deadman mode, as I very much was trying to line my deck in the week to come. Now the following week though was a bit of a rut for me, and I'm sure many others can agree during those times RuneScape is the thing you come home to AFK to be fully zoned out to. And the following week proceeded to be just that, just some AFK woodcutting on the alt, as I watched myself slip further and further away from the top 2k players. Nothing but soft boy behavior. So with that being said, I've scrapped the idea of any low level PKing on the account and dialed back into my original goal of qualifying and participating in the 1v1 finals. As a side note here, I would share a good lesson I'm learning is that when you only have so much of your time to give, to remain focused in what that time is given to. So in the remainder of this video, I will be sharing my desired end goal to be going into the 1v1 finals and showcasing some of the progress that I've made towards it, with my end goal being broken down into 3 outcomes, that being gear, my must-haves, and stats. So to start with my finals PK gear, I'll be hybriding in a Varrock to range setup. Now this setup has proven to be more dominant than tribriding in Outlast fight scenarios, so much so it's been banned in the past few Deadman modes. But this tournament it's been reintroduced alongside many other items, and with sigils being added in 2 for the first time, what will be dominant is very much up in the air. At the end of the day, tribriding is outside of my skill set, and I would only hinder myself if I were to try and do so. As is, I will be pushing myself to limits in this hybrid setup. There is also opportunity to upgrade gear along the way, but these upgrades will only come and be obtained if funds and time permits. Next is my must-haves to be most effective with this gear setup. Your boy's gonna have to roll up his sleeves and do some questing to unlock the spell Vengeance and to unlock the prayer Piety, as well as obtain a rune pouch. Lastly, as far as stats go, having a total level that places me within the top 2k players is a must, and there's also minimal stat requirements to wear my gear, but I will be aiming for highest possible combat stats, once again, time permitting. With these goals ahead of me, I prioritized securing my must-haves and began my journey for the Vengeance spell, with this spell becoming unlocked after the completion of the Lunar Diplomacy quest. And before embarking on said quest, I did have some prerequisites that needed to be achieved, that being other quests as well as some skill levels needed. So, to work my way into it, I firstly completed the Jungle Potion quest, followed by the Murder Mystery quest, as this was to get me some quick crafting levels that were required to complete Shiloh Village. I then made my way towards the island of Karamja. But no plan is perfect. And with that, I did have my first death in Deadman mode. Fair play to the PKer though. As I watched the clip back, it was either himself or a scout that was holding down Draenor, and I just got caught up in his quest for blood. As a pick-me-up after the fact, I got some easy total levels from some low-hanging fruit quests. The next day, I did return to complete Shiloh Village, this time making my way towards the docks going south of Falador. I didn't get caught out this time, and I was able to complete the quest with no more deaths. The next quest on my list was completing Fremennik Trials. A quick side note here though, as I do really make silly mistakes in this game, especially when it comes to questing, and I just make completing quests much longer and a bigger hurdle than is actually necessary. You see here for this one, I misread the item requirements that were needed to enchant the lyre, and I thought I needed a raw shark and raw manta ray and raw sea turtle to do so. And I was having trouble buying these items on my shoestring budget from the Grand Exchange. I thought, I'm going to have to tame these things manually. So I looked into it, and the only way to do so was to get 81 fishing, and then to get them from the boss fight at Temporos. With my roundabout plan beginning to unfold, thankfully they bought in the Grand Exchange. For me just to find out that I only needed one or the other to enchant the lyre. Oh my gosh, use your raw shark, manta ray, sea turtle on a strange altar. You need one of three? I thought it was three. One raw shark, raw manta ray, or sea turtle. Oh my gosh, such a rip. With all that behind me, I completed the Fremennik Trials quest, with the reward experience pushing me into the next combat bracket world. Whenever you do enter into these new combat bracket worlds, your account will have 1 hour of immunity, and I used mine to kill Dream Dragons. Now this was done to earn some money, as well as try my luck at the Deadman mode drop table. No luck though. From there, I systematically began to achieve the skill level prerequisites that were required for the Lunar Diplomacy quest, and I think it's worth noting that when training Mage, I did get some luck, as someone was dumping adamant plates into the Grand Exchange, and when I began to elk these, I was doubling my money a few times. Once again, I was having trouble purchasing quest items. This time it was in the form of a Fire Talisman, which wasn't even buying at the Grand Exchange for a 20k buy offer. Now this item can be attained as a 1 out of 20 drop rate from the Fire Wizard south of Falador, and I thought it was worth the time and risk to try and get one as a drop. Little did I know, a max PKer was roaming around the area, and I got really lucky here as I was off prayer when his VLS spec'd and he luckily didn't kill me. But overall, it was a pretty poor gameplay on my part. I didn't even bring a prayer potion, and I got smited down. Come on. As well, I did not camp high hit points, and unfortunately, I did get my second death. My wealth, though, is kept in my safety deposit box in the form of Alkables, and very little wealth was lost on that death. The death did come back to spite me, though, as I threw a large buy offer on the Fire Talisman after the fact, only to have it buy for 1k. Yes, a little salty about that one. Being on my third and final life, death would be much more punishing at this point in the game, and I proceeded to complete the Lunar Diplomacy quest at a much higher suspense rate. Gotta appreciate the emotions Deadman mode can bring out of you. And I can probably say one of my must-haves was achieved, and I got the Lunar Spellbook unlocked, and I can now cast the Vengeance spell. In respect to this, and the new metrics around my account now stands at 2 deaths, but Deadman mode is all about defying death and picking yourself up after the fact. As well, my total gameplay is up to 39.5 hours, and my high score ranking at the time of my last logout was 2,877. I do have some work to do before the finals, but I can share I have created some additional time in my efforts to make it. That being said, I will see you next time.